There was a lot of old dudes that got let go or got fired, but the press releases says they parted ways. Is there one place we want to start today?
You don't want to do a retrospective of the season that was?
It was breaking news today that old white men got fired and replaced by old white men. When I saw Don Maloney's name, I was like, okay, like really?
Who is Don, or what's Don Maloney's previous employment? What's his LinkedIn look like?
So currently Don Maloney was, I believe, a scout for the Flames, but then before that he had stints with the Rangers. I'm trying to think.
Oh no, don't hire scouts as your GM.
Well, I mean, he has a really long track record. I think he was with the Coyotes, Rangers. Yeah, he was pretty much Coyotes and Rangers. So, he's like 65 years old and had, played for.
I don't know if your resume says the Coyotes.
Yeah, you might have. There might be some fraud or some concerns or just some really bad decision making.
Can we just quickly pour one out for Calgary? Because I think we were here a year ago. I knew where I was when the Matthew Tkachuk trade went down.
Weren't we both at the first night of Gita and Reed's wedding?
No, that was like the day before.
Right, we were there when Huberdeau. I was there when Huberdeau got re-signed.
Yeah, that was insane. So yeah, I mean, we were here a year before, being like, I don't know if they're worse, but they might be kind of better because Mackenzie Weegar, and then Jonathan Huberdeau decided to score as many points as Brock Besser this year, and that's the end of that. And his extension kicks in, and Weegar's extension kicks in, even though Mackenzie Weegar's really good. And yeah, now I mean, as much as we want to harp on the Vancouver Canucks, like, guys, look at the commitments that the Calgary Flames have. And Nazem Kadri, Jonathan Huberdeau. They still got Jacob Markstrom, for what, 2 or 3 years or whatever left at $6 million.
The general sentiment I'm hearing online, I kind of agree with, is that Brad Treliving, who was let go today, wasn't the problem, but he also clearly was not going to be the solution either. But I also am nervous for Flames fans that, considering how much pull and maybe how invisible Daryl Sutter is, that he becomes the head coach and GM in a Iron Mike Keenan-like situation and makes things even worse.
It happens in Calgary all the time.
Yeah.
A Sutter gets both jobs, a Sutter gets fired, a Sutter gets both jobs. This is not new.
Yeah, Oh, go ahead.
He'll get fired and then Brent will get hired.
Yeah. Gita, there's a whole farm. We talk about the Tanner Pearson tree. There's a Sutter tree just up the road in Viking, Alberta. They'll find another one that has a bit of NHL experience, and you just rinse, lather, repeat, and Calgary and Vancouver sit in that lovely mushy middle that they all love to sit in. It's like clockwork.
Ultimately, Brandon's going to end up behind a bench.
It's just going to be the Calgary Sutters. I mean, just in terms of that, can you imagine, what if they, really lean into the Daryl Sutter thing? What if they just re-sign Milan Lucic? Because, if you look at Milan Lucic's usage, this season, it's nuts. He was getting first line minutes, playing with Huberdeau and all this stuff. He's like, oh yeah, he's a Daryl player. I'm like, does Daryl still think that the iPod doesn't exist? You think it's 2004 and we're all on, he's asking people for their ICQ. What's going on? But pour one out for Calgary. And I hope Brad Treliving goes and manages a Boston Pizza.
So let's, we talked about Treliving getting fired. It was Black Friday turned into a black weekend. Penguins fired Brian Burke and Ron Hextall and their assistant GM Chris Pryor, which
did you guys? Okay, I know you guys are the ones, or Ryan mooches off my Athletic. I'm assuming you guys didn't read the kind of the Ron Hextall eulogy article on the Athletic.
You sent me that one screen grab that was very telling, but maybe recite it for the class.
I can't recite it off. Well, okay, vamp for a second and I'll recite it. I'll find it and I'll
It's funny as Arash brings it up. It basically sounded almost identical to what Bobby Clark said in that damning podcast when he was talking about how Ron Hextall did his job, the decisions he made, which rang very true, rang very similar to how Benning and Weisbrod kind of did their job. Like, we'll take care of this. We'll figure it out. Don't worry about anybody else. And Hextall was an AGM with the Los Angeles Kings, and they won a Stanley Cup, and he was able to turn that into a general manager's job. And because he was a hockey player, he gets a lot of chances. And he kind of did the exact same thing in Pittsburgh in an insanely short amount of time. And yeah, based on the decisions that were made at the deadline and going into this season and with a goal to make the playoffs and be a contender, that's a fireable offense, I'd say.
Yeah. So, sorry. The article was by Josh Yohe of The Athletic, and it was a scathing article. And this was a passage that I sent to a few people, but I'll recite it here. Hextall is one of the worst general managers in franchise history. He may have destroyed the Penguins with his ghastly record of player transactions. It's easy to say that Hextall is a fool, and surely this explains why he stunk as a general manager. Maybe. More than anything, though, Hextall was a weakling during his time as the Penguins' general manager. Tough guy Hextall, the goalie with an attitude, rolled over and let his assistants make decisions. He let his players make decisions. He let fans make decisions. He sat quietly in his office all day while the rest of the organization was fading away. Hextall's decision-making was more than enough to warrant his dismissal. His lack of guts made it a no-brainer. Whoever replaces Hextall will have their hands full. Major damage has been done. Hopefully, when asked for a plan by Fenway Sports Group, the new general manager will at least be able to explain the plan and then have the guts to see that plan all the way through, regardless of what it is. That would be progress. The last 2 years have been nothing but a once great team fading into the night, a cowering general manager guiding them there one day at a time. That is more. I can't recall anything in Vancouver being that. Like, I understand that we have Vancouver media is real tough. I don't know if Vancouver media is real tough. I think Vancouver media is they play the game. They play the game better than any market plays the game. And
Vancouver media was like, he seems like a really nice guy, and he's just not fit for that role. Ron Hextall in Pittsburgh, this guy's the worst. He's terrible. He is not competent enough for this in the least bit.
Yeah.
He should not exist.
Yeah.